So I want to take a moment to discuss Sascha Zverev. Recently, there's been allegations that one of his ex-girlfriends, he's expecting a child soon with his most recent ex-girlfriend. Her name is Brenda something. And then his girlfriend before that, Olga Sharipova, not spelled like Sharapova, nicknamed Olya, said that he sat on her with a pillow, or tried to smuggle her with a pillow by sitting on it, hit her head against a wall after a fight once, and she tried to kill herself after some other altercation. And this, obviously, if somebody comes forward and says things like that about a relationship that was 18 months long, you could probably guess, if the allegations are true, that other things went on that were pretty violent. The baby mama, Brenda, the most recent girlfriend, has not come forward with claims of abuse, but interestingly, she's saying that she wants no contact with Zverev, Sasha, and she's not seeking any money. She is a model, but you would think, if I'm not mistaken, it's a tennis dynasty. There's a lot of little mini dynasties within tennis, like parents played and like child whatever, Misha plays. And I'm a Zverev fan. Like, I'm not just like hopping on. Like, I actually do think I feel bad for him because he's 23 and he's young. So he's born in 97. So, I feel like these men, or tennis players in general, it's just like their whole life is kind of, in a bubble, no pun intended, because, like this year was the year of the bubbles. And just socially, there's just like there's going to be a gap. Like, I hate to say it, but I feel like most childhood prodigies, music, acting, whatever, like, you run the risk of, having a little bit of a awkward social response, interaction, whatever you want to call it, with people that aren't inside that world, because, you're kind of catered to, there's extreme pressure, other people's incomes and livelihoods are dependent on your performance, skipping things that other people your age might enjoy, whatever. Obviously, I can only guess that the experience is beyond worth it, as, he is making history every single match, every single week. Tennis is one of the great sports where you can just, you get to see your favorite players play every single week. He's making history. So that is part of the reason why I feel like, his family and legal PR team, everybody around him is kind of doing him dirty with this situation. Now, as someone who's seen abuse up close in so many different forms, I think that I know more. I don't know anybody. I won't say that, but I would think that there's more people that have been abused than not. And a survivor of abuse, I can't just be like, oh, he's my favorite, so I don't believe Olya. But like, in addition, like the baby mama, she's not seeking money either. And this is the girlfriend that's coming forward with abuse claims. So 2 past lovers, neither are seeking funding. Only one of them is coming forward with a story that's egregious, and then the other is just having his child and just does not want shared custody. Which, that's just me being suspicious. That could be for a variety of reasons. But I feel like his legal team, his team in general, is doing him dirty because at the Paris Masters on Saturday morning, was 9 a.m., whatever, against Daniil Medvedev, someone he's also known since a child, which he said, but, they've all known each other since, like, kids, because, juniors, tennis, yada, yada, yada. He was like, a lot of people will try to wipe a smile, something to the effect of, a lot of people will try to wipe a smile from my face, but under my mask, I'm smiling brightly, and that won't happen because I'm surrounded by people that love me. Okay, no. I cannot believe, it's like, no, you need to treat the situation taking the stance of this is not true, which, it's a pretty flat response to something that's so serious. Also, side-eye on ATP's part because, tennis is such an esteemed sport. You would think that they would have some type of immediate protocol investigation into something that is as serious as what she's alleging. And that doesn't seem to be the case. So I think that, regardless of what he does, ATP will be forced to make an example out of him in some way because we're in the culture of accountability. Everybody's pointing fingers, yes, and I do think it's reaching a level that's a bit crazy, but, cancel culture has not really removed the people that it's claimed to cancel, so it'll only go so far anyway, and, people do need to be checked. The checks and balances is always good, so to speak, so whatever happens and comes of this, I think the ATP will obviously do the responsible thing because they really, they're not a perfect arena. I think that they've shown their humanness a lot, especially in regards to the great Venus and Serena and racism and things like that. But or homophobia in general, obviously. Like, if you watch tennis and you know that that's like a thing, and there are no gay tennis players, but the many lesbian tennis players. So make of that what you will. I think that this is very sad to be happening to Zverev because, like I said, he's young, and there's just certain things that are not, I mean, at the very least, even if, yes, there are allegations, but you should make it seem like you're innocent beyond reasonable doubt. And in the conferences, the press conferences that he's had after matches, he's also, I mean, he's really addressed it about, I think, 4 to 5 times at this point. And each time has kind of been this very weird, like, oh yeah, people say things kind of response to something like your ex-girlfriend of 18 months saying that she tried to kill herself after a fight with you. It's just not really flying. It's not going through. I can't believe that he doesn't have, I mean, his mom and his dad is a businessman. His mom used to play tennis, like, just very high profile people, and who knows, maybe they're the worst people in the world behind closed doors. You never know. There's, the beauty of tennis is that there's so many different cultures that come together. So, nobody's a monolith, but I wouldn't, you don't know these people. We don't know these people, but even still, you would think that lie. I mean, like, or make it look good, give him the benefit of that. It's just like, you got to help him out. You can't have this, 23-year-old, 6'6", probably, I don't know if he's had the chance to experiment, just feeling a lot of emotions. A couple of weeks ago, he was crying when he lost the US Open and he didn't have his parents there, and he always has them with him. So, there's a lot of, see, it sounds like I'm making excuses for him based off the fact that he's a male and that he is attractive and that he is young, but I'm really not. I do think, for example, Shapo, who I also love, who will definitely, if not be in the next big three, because right now I think it's Zverev, Kyrgios, and Thiem that are going to be like sliding into those spots, but Shapo will definitely win a Grand Slam eventually. I think he'll, be an Andy Murray for a bit, definitely always going to the semis and the quarters and finals, so we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. But he said that he got a psychologist before going on tour this year because he knew that this type of competitiveness and traveling and being alone and what he is competing for requires some type of psychological check, and he's just taking care of his mind in the same way that he would his body. And I'm like, this kid is 21, good for you, set the tone, amazing. I don't know who else has therapists. I'm sure that many of them do, but for him to publicize and be honest about it, for his young age, I just thought that was cool. So, maybe that might be something else that ATP requires as like mandatory, I should do some research on that. Maybe there is some type of evaluation that comes with the physical of your mind, but I just think that is everybody, as things are getting more transparent, if you want to call it that, as the world progresses, and just so much chaos and violence everywhere, that it's not unreasonable to say that, hey, I can't be my best self and act like these things are going on, or act like I wouldn't need somebody to talk to in the simplest terms. Obviously, therapy is more than talking to someone. Back to Zverev. I can't wait to see how this unfolds. And I think that he should stop commenting publicly on this. I think that the statement that he made in regards to, he said, I'm probably going to be a father soon. He said on Instagram that, yeah, he thinks that there's good news. I mean, he needs to have one single story with Brenda and one single response to Olya. And then he needs to commit. And for his own sake, he should want ATP and his own team to do an investigation to clear his name. This is not the kind of thing that you can just say didn't happen, and I feel like the people around him should know that. Misha's older than he is. He's not as much as successful as a tennis player, but it's like it's telling that the people in his camp are not, or this is the outside looking in, this is based off what he said, don't seem to have more of a solid stance on what he should be allowed to respond to and what the response should be. That's all. And it breaks my heart because I just know that even if more happened than what Olya revealed, I think that, I say that there's 3 sides to every story, 4 depending on how religious you are. I'm not going to explain that because it's funny to me, and then it'll just kill it if I explain it. But he's 23 is very young. it's like really, really young. And to be in those environments, like I said, it's like you're like 19 still. You're like kind of forever teenager until you start to see that you're older. So it would just be so upsetting if, yeah. So I'm talking in circles now, but I love Zverev. I'm a huge fan, and I hope this doesn't completely derail his mental, and I hope that he's able to continue to, well, he'll definitely be in the London finals this year. I mean, like, I just can't, I mean, they're, like, not gonna kick him out. Like, there's just no way. I don't see that happening. He's too much of a moneymaker, but I hope that next year that this doesn't really, actually, I shouldn't say that. I hope that what is supposed to happen, I hope that the right thing happens. We'll say that. And I just hope that, Olya says that she's only looking for the truth. I hope that the public and his team find a way for Zverev to either commit to the story of it not happening and pursue that till the end, or, come up with a statement. But see, the thing is, if he releases a statement now, it's like, okay, well, then you lied. And then that just opens the floodgate for her to say even more. Ugh, very sticky situation. It happened kind of like overnight. We'll see.